Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the Peak to Peak region, in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists.
I see you there at the memorial, somber faces arrayed before you, for the last time to bid farewell. I see you there, so corporeal, taking the places of those who came before you for the first time.
The song that you are currently listening to is called Memorial. It's the penultimate track from Daydream, the debut album from Big Love Car Wash, who are coming to perform at the Gold Hill Inn very soon. For more information about that performance, be sure to stay tuned for this episode of the podcast. To learn more about the group as a whole, be sure to head to their website at biglovecarwash.com.
I see you there in a half-life.
Hello there, everybody. My name is Jamie Lammers, and welcome to Music of the Mountains, brought to you by the Mountaineer Podcast, where today I'm bringing you the first episode in quite a while that's promoting a show coming up from a local artist. Before we get started, our regular preliminary announcements. If you haven't subscribed to the Mountaineer yet and you want to get your news from peak to peak, then be sure to head to the mtnear.com and click on the subscribe button in the top right corner of our homepage to get full access to our digital archives and scanned copies of the physical newspaper. You can also choose to send a physical subscription to your mailbox or to the mailbox of someone that you love. If you're interested in getting advertising into the newspaper and or the podcast, then be sure to email our editor-in-chief, Barbara Hardt, at info@themountaineer.com and or myself at media@themountaineer.com to ask us any questions, or head to the mtnear.com/advertise to learn what options are available. And finally, before we jump in, here is our top story today, brought to you by Brittany Wagner.
Our top story today comes from Mindy Leary, celebrating a new chapter for Belvedere. The city welcomed the Central City Opera cast and crew on Tuesday evening, June 17th, to a free community celebration as it marked a major milestone in the restoration of the historic Belvedere Theater, the opening of Shoofly. The spirited ribbon cutting included libations, barbecue, and a CCO performance that brought the crowd laughter, elation, and awe. The Shoofly may only be one step in the rehabilitation of the building, but for Central City and its art community, it's a meaningful one. You can read the full story in this week's Mountaineer or at themountaineer.com.
All right, we're just going to jump right into the interview. Our guest this time around, do you mind introducing yourself real quick?
Not at all. My name is David Rabinowicz. I play guitar, piano, and I sing and write in the band Big Love Car Wash.
And Big Love Car Wash is going on a national tour to promote their debut album, Daydream. How are you guys all feeling about going on this tour?
Yeah. Oh, man. It's going to be tough to to condense my feelings to just one phone call. Yeah, we're living our dreams out here. We're getting to do our favorite thing, play our favorite music with our favorite people in one of the most absolutely breathtaking places I've ever been to on Earth. Yeah, we're spending a whole lot of time in Colorado, but we're passing through 6 states in total. And yeah, this tour is promoting, in large part, it's promoting our debut record called Daydream, which you can find on any of the streaming services, and we've got some CDs for sale on our website and stuff. But really, first and foremost, I think we're here to just partake in the music and live it and breathe it, which right now, being in Colorado, it feels like that's a lot of what this whole state's about. So yeah, we're having the time of our lives.
Usually I record interviews for Music of the Mountains before I write the weekly columns to make sure I can get as much information as possible. However, in this case, I ended up writing the column first based on promotional materials written by the band. And David, I hear that you guys opened your national tour in Austin.
Yes, we did at the O4 Center in Austin. That's where 3 out of the 4 of us are based. Our mandolin player and singer and songwriter as well, Sol Chase, he lives in Galway right now in Ireland. So another reason why this is such a big treat, getting the whole family together to hang out and drive around and make music. But yeah, we try to get together at least once a year to tour, to record. Yeah, this is our second time coming to Colorado on tour. And it's the first time under our band name, Big Love Car Wash.
So can you talk generally about the musical backgrounds of yourself and the rest of the band and how the band came together as a whole?
Yeah, for sure. We come from very different backgrounds, which I think is a very special thing that definitely contributes to our sound in a lot of ways. I don't know, the diversity of music that we like to listen to and that we grew up playing. So I myself come from a very, very multicultural household. Everyone in my immediate family was born on a different continent, so there's a ton of cultural influence from around the world. We're Jewish on both sides, so there's a lot of influence from like Yiddish lullabies and stuff like that I'm finding more and more in my songwriting. My mom is from Argentina, so I grew up with a lot of classic Argentinian rock and also some bossa nova, just being so close to Brazil. And yeah, in Austin, we came together playing bluegrass because Sol had a weekly gig at this brewery called Jester King, and he would call this rotating cast of bluegrass musicians in the Austin area to sit in and play as part of a quartet every week. And one time he called the 4 of us together, and within 3 songs we were like, okay, yeah, this is a band. This is going to be a formal quartet. And that was actually just a few months before he moved to Ireland, so it didn't give us a whole lot of time to play together, but it gave us plenty of time to plan. And we did our first tour the following summer and cut a record the next one, and now we're back. Our background as a band is definitely in bluegrass, but on our record we dip our toes into a whole lot of other stuff. There's a lot of our different cultural backgrounds that make their way into the music, but also myself and our bassist Taylor Turner, the 2 of us have a background in jazz, and we definitely got some more kind of modern harmony involved. So a lot of flavors on the record.
Okay, so in terms of band members, there's you, there's Sol, there's Taylor, and then there's Everett Wren, who plays a ton of instruments, huh?
There sure is. That man, he is a wild animal. That guy knows how to play that fiddle. And dobro and mandolin and dulcimer and this and that. Yeah, he's really a fascinating and wildly inspiring and insanely kind person. Love Everett to bits and pieces like the rest of them. But yeah, he came up playing fiddle in a family band when he was, 4 or 5 years old, I think, and they were touring the world. They needed a fiddler, so that was him. Oh, actually, I think he initially played guitar with the band when he was very, very little. Yeah, but then he picked up the fiddle and absolutely tears that thing to ribbons.
Oh, also, special shout out to Sam Plath, who the band hires as a drummer for some of their projects. I want to transition a bit into the songwriting process for the band as a whole. But before we do that, a quick break. And now, some promotional announcements brought to you by the Mountaineer.
Looking for a unique advertising opportunity? The Mountaineer podcast may be a perfect fit for you. Our podcast reaches local listeners at least 3 days each week. We can create your podcast commercial for you, or you can submit your own. Contact Amanda McDonald for additional information. Her email is adsales@themountaineer.com, and her cell is 720-960-2900. Have you checked out the Mountaineer YouTube lately? We are very excited to have a videographer intern this spring, as well as Clementine Miller, who's been working hard to record some of our local events and meetings to share with you. Go check it out on the Mountaineer YouTube. Have you seen our 2024 Peak to Peak Visitors Guide? We have just launched our 2025 Media Kit for the next guide. Go to our website and click on Advertise to see the full media kit there. Spring is springing, and we all know that means the flowers will be popping out all over the place, reminding us of beautiful art. That also means it's time to start thinking about the 2025 studio tour. Go to our website and click on special sections to view the 2024 guide and prepare yourself for this year's edition.
Welcome back. Let's continue with the interview. So are you and Sol the core songwriters of Big Love Car Wash?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so Sol and I both have, I think Sol's background, I'm actually in the car right now with Sol's dad, so I might ask him for a little bit of assistance here. His background was more in instrumentalism and lyricism, right? He kind of came to songwriting later.
No, he was writing songs starting at age 4.
Oh my gosh, of course he was. Brilliant. Yeah, that makes sense. He's one of my favorite lyricists in the world. But yeah, so never mind. Yeah, we both kind of learned to play music and write music simultaneously. And in this band, we kind of split that responsibility. the privilege of getting to share our music. Yeah, we've both written a lot of tunes. Lyricism is a really important part of our band and what we're trying to do. We try to be very conscious about the messages that we're putting out into the world. And, I was actually just talking with Soul's dad about how, as a musician and as a music teacher, first and foremost, I'm a consumer of music. So when I'm playing music, I want to be playing music that I want to hear and that I want to exist in the world. And as a teacher, I am investing time into people so that in 20 years, there's going to be more sweet music that I can listen to. So that's really what it comes down to. And when it comes to lyrics, we try to be conscious about the themes that we're putting out and the messages that we're imparting.
And in a band context, do Taylor and Everett also jump in for musical contributions, for lyrical contributions? Are you guys still the core songwriters in that context? How has the songwriting process evolved over time for Big Love Car Wash?
Yeah, so for the most part, Soul and I have kind of written the core of the songs. The song Dante on the record is one of Everett, but all of the songs that we write, we build to get there. So I truly felt the song Dream Turtle, the opening song on the record, I've tried bringing that to other bands in the past, and it's never really felt right. It kind of felt like I was forcing it into a different context that didn't really work or make sense. And then when we were in the studio putting it together, it feels a little cheesy to say, but it felt like I heard the song for the first time when we played it together as a group. And yeah, it feels weird to say that I wrote that song because I wrote the lyrics and I wrote the melody and the harmony, but I didn't piece it together in the way that we ended up being able to do as a band, which was really amazing. And then we have a song on the record called Memorial. It's the penultimate one. And that track was a co-write in a more robust sense. So the concept of the song came from Everett, from our fiddler. And I'm going to actually back up and talk about that context in a second. It's something that I think is very representative of kind of the way that we like to approach making our music. But yeah, that came from him, as well as the chord progression and the general melody. Most of the lyrics came from Soul, some of them from Everett as well. And then we have this huge outro part that I arranged with a string quartet and I think an 8-voice choir, like 8 musical voices. And Taylor is gorilla glue. He ties everything together and validates everything that we're doing. He takes all of our crazy whims and finds ways to justify them, which is really amazing, having a strong foundation like that. But the theme to that song, Memorial, I think it's a really good representation of one of the things that makes Everett such a sweet person and such an empathetic person. And it's also, I think it really represents what we're trying to do and be as a band. So that song is about the experience of going to the funeral of the parent or parents of a friend of yours and holding space for your friend and being empathetic and showing them love while also having kind of this strange feeling of gratitude and recognition of the fact that you're lucky because your parents are still alive. So it's this conflicting feeling of I want to show my love and my support, but also it feels weird to recognize my own privilege in this moment and whatever. Yeah, I think that song is a very nuanced view of empathy, and I think it gives a pretty nice window into what we're trying to do.
So when I was looking into this record Daydream, I saw that you guys had to work with a ton of original material and had to whittle down what songs you wanted to put on the album, and that you guys perform solely your own original material. I'm sure that means you've written a ton of songs for this group. Can you just talk a little?
Yep, we have more than we know what to do with, which is such a luxury also. Like, we love that. It feels like a really good problem to have. But yeah, before going into the studio, we compiled a list of 30 to 40 songs that were either complete songs, old songs that we might want to kind of rehash a little bit, or song seed, kind of like the very beginning idea, concept of a song or something like that. And we took that and we narrowed it down to 12 tracks or 14 tracks. I don't actually remember exactly what we brought it down to. And then we went to the studio and the idea was like, we're going to kind of work through these and we're going to see what seems like it's making sense. And we might cut some to make it a more reasonable way. And we ended up with a 16-track record. Because we just couldn't cut anything. Everything that we brought into the studio, we needed to keep. And then we had 2 interludes in there as well. But yeah, we have a ton of material. We have a lot of new material as well that we're working on. I mean, we're ready to hop into the studio for the next one, as long as we can get Soul back in the States.
And what are some of your favorite parts about being able to play with a group and sharing the music with that group and with the audience members you play for as a whole?
Oh, gosh. You're killing me with that question. This is such a cop-out answer, but just experiencing that flow state, I know that's almost a contrived sentiment at this point, but this ability to just kind of shrug off any shoulds and anything like that, and I just show up, I get on stage, and I know that I'm surrounded by people that I trust, that I can be silly and try any weird musical whim that may occur to me, and that I've got this powerhouse group of musical wizards that can provide a safe cushion for me to fall on if it doesn't land, which means that it always lands, because even if I do something that's a little too weird, it's going to get contextualized in a way that works. Yeah, I think that's it, is that working with these guys, to me, embodies play. That's what we're doing. We're not working music. We're not practicing music or anything. We are playing music in a very robust sense. Yeah, it really just feels like we're children and we're feeling our way around a new kind of adventure every time we're playing music together, and it always feels effortless. Actually, in that vein, there is one thing that, to me, was the moment that I was like, this is my band. These are the people that I want to be investing that energy in, and the people that I'm going to trust with material that's very sensitive to me, is the fact that not only we respond to each other, so someone will play a lick or add some kind of different rhythm, because we're not playing the same song twice almost ever. And if we are, it's probably by chance. But it's that we're not only quoting each other, like someone will do a thing and then we go back and quote that thing that someone just played. It's that we're anticipating each other in a way that suggests that we've been playing together for decades. Or to me, it would seem like we've been playing together for decades, but it happened the first time we ever played together. Where it's like, I just kind of hear the way that this phrase is moving, and I know what Soul is about to play. He hasn't played it yet. After having played with him a few times, I could say, I've never heard him play it that way before, but I still know. I just know he's going to do this thing, so then I do it with him at the same time. And the amount of times that we just sync up on stuff without communicating it, at least without communicating it verbally, that to me is such an incredible and validating feeling, and it feels so nice to experience that kind of musical camaraderie. It's like, I know what you're going to say, and we're improvising a lot of the time, so it's like he doesn't even know what he's going to say. He knows as much as I do. We're both kind of like piecing it together, but everything that occurs to all of us makes sense to all of us. Those moments really feel magical.
And in terms of that camaraderie that you guys have always felt on stage, has that developed over the years? Has it felt the same in certain ways? How has it progressed as you've continued playing with the band?
Well, the feeling is the same. And that's what really extra magical about it to me, is that we're still taking risks and we're trying brand new stuff. And every time we have this glee when it lands, like we just did the same thing. It's like, well, we look at each other and try not to make a big deal out of it because we're on stage and trying to be professional. But it's still just so fun and light and beautiful. But it definitely has and continues to refine. On this tour, that's been a very special thing to see. We've played a small handful of gigs, and they really feel like they're getting progressively tighter in different areas, too. We're still playing in a kind of carefree, not carefree, I guess in a lighthearted way. We're letting the songs lead us, I think might be a better way to say it. That's an attitude we tried to go into the studio with, where we tried to kind of produce stuff beforehand, and we ultimately decided, like, yeah, it's good to have some ideas because the studio is expensive, so we don't want to waste a lot of time, but also let's see where the songs take us. Like, what does the song want as it's being developed, because we can't know that. And I guess, the more we communicate, the better we are at anticipating each other, the more we're learning what someone does like and what they don't like, how to end phrases in a concise way, how to be compelling musically and not gratuitous in our playfulness. I definitely feel like we're honing it, and hopefully we'll never stop honing it. I think that the scariest thing that could ever happen is that we just get to a point where we're like, yeah, we're there, and now we don't have anything new to learn and any new way to kind of grow together. That'd just be boring.
And is there anything that you hope audience members will be able to take away from your shows or your songs?
There are a few things. I hope that people will stop and listen. I'm very proud of what we did in the studio, and I do think that a lot of it is very pretty and nice to listen to. But something I am very proud of is messages that we've cultivated, or I guess the messages that we've curated on this album. And I think that folks will get something out of it if they really stop and think about how the music relates to the words on top of it. And a very important thing for me is that I want there to be no fourth wall. We've been describing ourselves as a found family band for a while, and we've used that to describe us as people who've just kind of found family in this little collective. But also, that is a very open thing. We've collaborated with a lot of different artists, and also the people who are engaging with the music at shows are as big a part of the performances as we are. I mean, we're not that stoic, classic bluegrass thing where we're all putting on straight faces and playing, don't get me wrong, beautiful, blistering instrumentalism and stunning music and stuff like that. But that's not what we're doing. We're all about family. We're all about love. And everybody's a part of that. If you're listening to our music, I think anyone's relationship with our music is as important as ours is. And it really is all an open family. A little example of that, actually, that I guess is kind of an example of that. It might be a little bit of a tangent, but I teach music by day in Austin. I never want to tell people what our songs are about, because who am I to say that? Like, I can tell you what they mean to me, and Soul can tell you what his songs mean to him. But at the end of the day, once a song is out in the world, it is just a song that exists, and anyone who's listening to that has as much ownership over what it means as we do. It's just a song. It's out there. But a very fun example of that is one of my students interpreted a song in a completely different, importantly different way than we did, than both Soul and I did. It was one of the ones that Soul wrote. It was a song Janet. And my student had this view of the message of the song, even down to who the focus of the song is. His view of it was just so different than mine and Soul's, but it clicked with us so much. And both Soul and I were like, oh, sweet, that's totally how I see that song now. And one of my students changed the way that the songwriter interpreted his own song, which I think is a really powerful thing. And I hope that we have many, many more experiences like that.
As a final tidbit about this band, their name comes from a quote from founding member of Yonder Mountain String Band, Jeff Austin, who once proclaimed that the vibe he received from a connected audience felt like moving through a big love car wash. And yeah, we've covered a lot of ground just in this short amount of time. Is there anything else in general about the band or other things in your life that you want to add?
Well, you haven't asked me which of my band members I think is the cutest, but you couldn't make me choose. You kidding me? Look at those boys. I should probably give a shout out to my beautiful, amazing, lovely, supportive, wonderful cat. His name is Casey Jones, and he's probably sitting on my couch right now getting some scritches and some love from my friend Sammy, who's taking care of him. You can see some little clips of Casey dancing along to our music on social media. He's a very good cat. I can't think of anything else. Yeah? Oh, come on. And a shout out to Taylor's dog, Hippo. I love Hippo so much. He's a walking cartoon character. Oh.
I really love that. All right. Well, thank you so much, David, for coming on board and joining us for the podcast. Big Love Car Wash will be coming to perform in the Peak to Peak area very soon. Specifically, they'll be coming to the Gold Hill Inn located at 401 Main Street in Gold Hill on Wednesday, June 25th, 2025, starting at 6 p.m. To learn more about the band as a whole and to find their music and social media, be sure to head to their website at biglovecarwash.com. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's Music of the Mountains, Where to Be and What to See, brought to you by the Mountaineer Podcast. I'll be back very soon with another episode. In the meantime, if you want to share this episode or others with whoever you see fit, then be sure to head to the mtnear.com and scroll near to the bottom of our homepage, or head to our podcast's main hub at the mtnearpodcast.buzzsprout.com to see a full archive of all of our episodes. If you're interested in being involved in the podcast in any way, shape, or form, then please be sure to email info@themountaineer.com and or media@themountaineer.com, and we'll get something sorted for you. And finally, not only can you find all of our major links, our Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, the podcast hub, of course, and our new event submission form where you can promote your own events at your venue, but you can also find that submission form and other places across our website at the side of our homepage at the mtnear.com. I'll see you guys very soon for the next episode of the Mountaineer Podcast. Have a great rest of your day.
I used to keep I used to keep a dream journal. I used to keep my deepest thoughts in line to help me keep my troubles off my mind.
The song that you are currently listening to is called Dream Journal. It's the opening track from the debut record from the band Big Love Car Wash titled Daydream. You can find that album wherever you get your music, and be sure to learn more about the band as a whole by heading to their website at biglovecarwash.com. They'll be performing at the Gold Hill Inn located at 401 Main Street in Gold Hill on Wednesday, June 25th, 2025, starting at 6 p.m.
I dreamed a dream of firesides, of lake shores, of car rides, of sitting back and gazing at the sky. I dreamed a dream of screwing up with plastic forks and paper cups, of living someone else's life. Someone else's life. I won't sit, no I won't.
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount, only available to our listeners. If you are in the local Peak to Peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.